My name is Ellie Timmons, and I am the host of today's podcast. In today's episode, I talk with MSU alumni Paul Housey. We talk about his journey into the industry, his favorite parts of his career, how a college student can best prepare themselves in college for career advising, and so much more. Stay tuned. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the WMA podcast. My name is Ellie Timmons, and today I have Paul Housey joining us. Paul graduated from Michigan State University, where he also received his MBA. Today, Paul is co-founder of ISTO Advisors, where he combines his passion for helping others with his expertise in financial planning and tax strategy. I'm excited to learn more, so welcome, Paul, and thank you for being on today.
Hey, Ellie, thanks for having me, and go green.
Go white. So without further ado, let's get started. Paul, do you want to just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and the journey to where you are today?
Absolutely. So every journey starts way back at the very beginning, and my beginning was being the son of two incredibly caring parents who really both dedicated their lives to helping others, to doing things for others. And I didn't realize it at the time, but if I look at what I do today, that's really the cornerstone of what my career has become. Today, I am a partner and co-founder of ISTO Advisors, and ISTO stands for In Service to Others. And really, my journey began with two people who taught me all about caring for others. My journey continued to Michigan State, and I don't say lightly that this is probably the best place for a financial planner to study. And when I was there, we didn't even have a financial planning major. But the reason I think it's great is because I think Michigan State is probably as good a well-rounded education as there is in America. And I say well-rounded because I'm sure there are rankings and academic numbers that would say we're good, maybe we're not number one, but to me at Michigan State, I received, and my son and my niece and people who are there today, they receive an education in life. And when we get to talking about financial planning, I think that most of my comments are going to be about how I relate to people more than how I know the tax law or I know the contribution limits on a qualified plan. It's all about people. And Michigan State was such an incredible place for me, and I think for many, to not only learn the books, but to be able to be in an environment that was collaborative more than competitive. And today I spend my life being collaborative, and I picked so much of that up from my time at Michigan State. I went on from there to work for a couple of accounting firms and became a CPA and a CFP and got all those fancy letters. But the cornerstone is what my parents taught me and what Michigan State taught me really built me into the professional I am today.
Yeah, I love that you say that. And I think when you said, you learned how to really relate to people, and I think that's important in the career, making them feel comfortable. So how did you get good at that? And instead of just, spewing out advice and, everything, just getting really good at making people feel comfortable?
Well, again, some of it came from just the upbringing, just a focus on others, right? There are people that are in it for themselves. There are people that are in it for how much can I make? And there are people who are in it to help others. So I think of our profession probably a lot different than most people do, but I think of our profession and picture a teacher or a nurse. If you were going to, if you had a kindergartner going to school for the first time, you would want to know that their teacher cared deeply about children. You probably wouldn't even find out where they went to school, what their degree was. of course, we all need to be smart in this profession as they do in that profession. But the thing you would care most about is, does this teacher care about others? If you had a nurse caring for you in a hospital, you're thrilled to find out they went to a great school and got a great degree, but you would want to know that that person truly cares about others. And more so than anything, that's important. So how did I develop that? I developed that because I was around people in my family that cared about others. I developed that because I think Michigan State is an environment where you can be collaborative more than competitive. And I think a lot of other schools focus on the competition. They focus on pitting one student against another, where I think Michigan State focuses so much on being in a collaborative environment. So you're getting these personalities, but truthfully, I think it comes from a balance in life as well. It's not just about academics. There is a social side to being in college and being post-college and enjoying that social side. I'm not saying you have to go to the bar to be a good financial planner, but I am saying that being in social settings improves your social skills and makes you more comfortable with people. So all those things kind of add up to the ability to relate to others.
I love that. Yeah. And I think it's great at Michigan State too. We now have like the wealth management minor, and there's parts of that minor where you learn about financial psychology, and, not everyone views money the same. And I think learning about that is really important too, to figure out, it's because it's easy to tell when an advisor is superficial. So being able to, show them, how you care and why you care, I think is important.
Ellie, I would tell you that of course, the perfect scenario would be that when I hire someone, that they're an incredible CFP, they're very finance oriented and financial planning minded, and a great psychologist or student of psychology. But honestly, if you said to me I could only hire one person, and all I knew about them they were a great psychology student or they were a tremendous financial planning student, I'd hire the psychology student and say, I can teach you the financial planning, but I can't teach a nerd. I can't teach a nerd to be a people person, right? Yeah. And so I love that. I love that there's psychology classes that are available and minors. That's so important because this is a business about people, not about numbers.
100%. I love that. And then I just want to go a little back into ISTO Advisors. What would you say is your niche, and how did you decide to serve the market that your company serves?
So it's a great question. And I would tell you either that we don't have a niche, or that our niche is working with great people. And so you can't put up a billboard necessarily and say, great people, sign here. But darn near 100% of our business, certainly more than 90, comes from the referral from other clients. And so our business is about, so it started, right? It started with friends and family, very close friends and family. You started to build a business. They started to refer people. And those people are great, caring people. Now, here's what happens when you're a great, caring person. When you're a great and caring person, you're also a wonderful client, because you understand that there are things outside of your financial advisor's control. You understand that sometimes markets go up and sometimes markets go down. And if you're not a great, caring person, I think you have a greater likelihood to complain more often, to expect perfection. But so if I have a niche, I'll tell you a great quick story. We send a lot of clients to an estate planning attorney down the road. And one day, after years of sending clients there, I met one of the administrative people over at their office. And I walked in, and the estate attorney introduced me to this lady, and she said, "Oh my gosh, you're Paul Housey, the one with all the nice clients." And I thought, that is so awesome that there are so many clients from so many financial advisors that are certainly showing up at this office. And we were recognized as the people with the nice clients because hopefully the clients are a reflection of who you are. And I've spent my life trying to be a pretty good guy and trying to be in service to others. So I think that's probably our niche. It's not attorneys, it's not doctors, it's not business owners, it's great people.
I love that. And I guess following that, there has to be times when you know that a client just isn't going to fit. How do you kind of handle that situation?
Yeah, that's a great question. We've had clients that we have politely moved on from.
Mm-hmm.
We have prospects where it's not the right fit. Now, sometimes you can say, hey, I know somebody, but quite honestly, if my niche is great people and I'm sitting with you and I'm saying either you're not great, it doesn't mean you're not a great person. It might mean that you're not a great fit, that you have a different approach. It's a little tough to pass that on to someone else and say, hey, I didn't think this person was going to be very fun to deal with. Why don't you have them? But there are different approaches. But look, it all just comes down to honesty. And I don't have a problem telling somebody, hey, this doesn't seem to be working great. Or, hey, I don't feel like we're on the same page. If someone's asking me 100 questions about rate of return in the prospect meeting, this isn't going to go well, because I think our rate of return is going to be just fine. I think it's probably going to be well above average. I think, but our rate of return is never going to be the best every year in and year out. And if that's how you're evaluating, then let's just move on. Let's just talk about what's realistic and not realistic. And so have a realistic conversation, tell them what you're capable of doing. I had a prospect in the office recently who wanted us to completely micromanage his budget. You tell me what I can spend on every line item, not how much I can spend, but you tell me if I can buy Starbucks, if I can take a trip. And I said, that's going to be a miserable relationship for us. I don't want to be telling you yes, no, yes, no. So we had an honest conversation and we decided not to work together, and just be honest. That's the cornerstone.
Yeah. I think that's important, girls. You're going to waste time, waste money, and you got to know, what you're good at and what, you got to believe in yourself and, what you can do. So I think that's important. You mentioned the markets, and I think I kind of have to ask, how did you navigate the markets in the recent years? And then how did you communicate those to clients? Like, how did you tell them, stay in it, it's going to be okay? Because I bet that's a very hard conversation when clients are worried about, their money.
Ellie, it's a great question, and I have a probably slightly different approach.
Mm-hmm.
I can give you a quick analogy. When I've got 3 kids, when they were really little, my wife and I were talking, and she said, she's an elementary school teacher. She's great with little kids, and she said, but when they become teenagers and we need to talk to them about drugs and dating and this and that, she's like, that's going to be your job, and you keep them away from all the bad stuff. And I said, let me tell you how I look at it. I said, if we want to keep them off of drugs and making bad decisions when they're 15 and 16 and 17, our real window is when they're 4 and 5 and 6 to be great parents and set a great example. And it's about building that relationship. And so that's my analogy to financial planning. If your clients are shocked that the market went down 20%, you didn't do your job up front.
I love that.
We spend a ton of time with every client. I will tell you, we deliver what I would consider to be the most understandable financial plan that I've ever seen. Is it perfect? Of course not. Is every number right? Never. But the clients completely understand their plan. Our clients completely understand their portfolio because it's all based on logic, and they can see step by step how we built the portfolio. When you can see step by step how you built the portfolio, one of the cornerstones for us is we don't have a portfolio that we describe to clients as 60-40, 60% equity, 40% bonds. We stay away from that. Instead, what we say is we're going to show you how much money you need to withdraw from this portfolio every year of your life. I'm going to take the money that you need in the near term, and I'm going to put that somewhere very safe. And I'm going to take the money that you need in the longer term, and I'm going to put that at risk. And we will define near term and long term with each client based on their situation. But then they look at it and they say, I understand my portfolio. I understand what this fund is doing. I understand what this investment is doing. And then when the market goes down, we say to them, how much money did you lose that you need to spend next year? And their answer is none. I know that you set that money aside separately and safely. And how much money did you lose that you need to spend in 2 years or 3 years or 4 years? And the answer is none. And then we say, so, but you did have market loss. And when are you going to spend the dollars that went down in this market drop? And they say, year 10 or 12 or 15. And I ask one question, do you think the market will recover by then? And they say, of course, 10 years, 12 years, 15 years. But we train them up front to understand this is how we're going to react when the market goes down. And I'll tell you what, we hardly get any phone calls. My bigger concern is, should we be calling people proactively? Because our phone is never ringing when the market's down, because they're well trained and they understand this is part of investing.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it too. You're educating them prior, so there's no questions when things do get hard. And I think you don't really see that a lot. I think, when we do talk to a lot of advisors, the economy right now is a huge stressor, and they're getting calls left and right. So I think that's a very unique approach that you guys take.
I'm trying.
Yeah. The next thing I want to ask, I kind of want to switch it over, to our listeners. And we have a lot of listeners that are interested in the career, not really sure if they want to, possibly go into it or not. So what's kind of like some of your favorite things about the career, like your favorite parts?
Yeah. This is absolutely a wonderful career for those who really find joy in helping other people, right? So I would be a terrible nurse. I was a decent teacher. I taught in the CFP program for 10 years here locally at Walsh College, and I helped to write the program. So teaching at the college level may be okay, but probably not quite enough patience for that either. But if you love helping people, the joy that you get out of, and it's not out of rate of return. Again, it's not out of calling someone and saying, hey, you made 12%. It's when I can't tell you how many clients I have that are doing things they never thought were possible because of the financial plan, because they see the 40-year or 30-year or 20-year time horizon, and they're like, wow, I didn't realize what my savings has done. I didn't realize that we could take the entire family to Disney, or we could take this European vacation. And we've got clients literally sending us pictures from Italy and from Disney and from places and saying, thank you, I didn't know this was possible. I have people on my staff that this job has given us the ability to employ others, people who have said, I would have never been able to buy this house if it wasn't for this job. People that say, I would have never been able to pay for my kids' college if I didn't have this opportunity. So to me, that's my favorite part, both clients and team members, to see them achieve things that they didn't even know were possible because I played a small role in that. That's what I love about the job.
Yeah. And what more can you ask for that, a feel-good job? You go home knowing that you're making a difference every day. It's important.
It's awesome. And I'll tell you another great place, because I have, we work with wealthier people, right? That's just the nature of this profession. We try to do pro bono work when we can. We try to do public stuff when we can, information. But the reality is you work with a lot of wealthy people. And I've had some young people say to me, I like the profession, but I want to help the needy. And I'll tell you, I do too. And I started a charity 25 years ago. I do tons of stuff for the community. But even through this job, I can't tell you how many millions of dollars my clients have donated to charities because they understood their financial plan, right? When I show you, hey, you're going to die with $10 million or $20 million or $30 million, one of the responses is often, well, great, how can I do more for my community? So while I might not be directly doing financial planning for someone who is in dire financial straits, I am helping wealthy people to create more opportunities for them. And so it's a little indirect, but I think it's still a tremendous impact.
Yeah, and they're making decisions they wouldn't have made otherwise, so things they didn't even know they could do with their money. So that's also really, you get to be creative in a way, I think, too.
Very creative.
So you have a CFP, CFA, and CLU designations. Kind of wondering, what was your driver for obtaining these certifications, and do you think they have been worth the time spent studying?
Just to clarify, CFP, CPA, not CFA.
Got it. Okay.
And CLU. So I will tell you what was the driver. The driver was when I was at Michigan State, I was an accounting student because I paid my own way through school and I needed to make money, and accounting was the most obvious and easy way to get a job. The big accounting firms all came to campus and I knew I could get a job. That led me down the path of becoming a CPA. At the time, I thought it was not worth it. I had some great advice from a partner at one of the accounting firms who said, if you spend a year and get this certification, I don't care if you become a vacuum salesman later in life, you'll be the only vacuum salesman on earth that's a CPA, and it's well respected and well regarded. And I appreciate having it today more so because one of the things that if I can share what students should be thinking about, it's not about the rules and the IRS regulations. It's about problem solving and puzzle building, right? That's what I do every day. I build puzzles. Every single day I build puzzles. The client comes in, it's a new client, it's a new prospect, and they give me their shoebox full of statements and life insurance and estate documents, and I've got to build a puzzle. And what I didn't know would be so helpful is that I spent a couple of years doing hundreds and hundreds of tax returns, and I did not like it. But later on, I realized that compared to my competitors, I understand taxes unbelievably well. I don't prepare taxes, but the number of places where the investment decisions, the life insurance decisions, the estate planning decisions impact taxes, it's almost the common denominator of all planning comes back to taxes. And I understand them so well, and we've ingrained them so well in our staff that CPA certification has become invaluable. On the CFP side, I just sort of think that's become table stakes. I don't take people too seriously in the financial planning profession if they're not a CFP. So it's not that the training was so incredible or what I learned taking the test I use every day. I just think it is a great certification to have and kind of a basic minimum that you need. The CLU hasn't been overly helpful to me, but probably more than I know. Probably learned more in the process. We do more insurance than we used to because the more we work with high net worth people tend to have more insurance needs and insurance solutions, and so it probably helps me more than I know. But the first two, CPA and CFP, are wonderful and really critical to my career. The third one, helpful, but not at the same level.
Gotcha. And it definitely sets you apart from others when you do have, those designations. My next question is, as your company grows, you'll need to hire young talent. What are some things you look for when hiring young advisors that can set them apart from their competitors?
It's a great question. I think, again, for me, I think there is a baseline of talent. So if you've gone to a great school like Michigan State or others, there are a couple others in the country, but if you've gone to a great school or if you're already a CFP, I mean, there's a certain amount of knowledge that I know you obviously have if you've graduated with good grades from a CFP program. or you have your CFP. So it's for me, it's a lot less about, is this person wicked smart? And it's more about their character. It's more about, I need people who care about others. And so it's about character. It's about honesty. It's about being others centered. It's about problem solving. It's about being innovative. You know, I look at some of financial planning as I look at a calculator. Like, you could be a math wizard, but I can use my calculator. Like I'm not going to pay you $1 million because you're awesome at adding. And I'm not going to pay you $1 million because you know all of the contribution limits. I care that you care about people. I care that you connect with people. I care that you build relationships. I care that you're honest and that you're hardworking and you're ethical. And yeah, you also have to be pretty smart, but you don't have to be the smartest person. So problem solving, puzzle building, I can look at a situation and treat it differently than the situation an hour ago or yesterday. Not cookie cutter, but what do I do in each situation uniquely, because we treat every client in a highly customized manner. You can't use yesterday's plan for tomorrow's client.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that goes back to what we talked about in the beginning, building those social skills and, being able to have compassion, and really important in this type of career.
Yeah. And Ellie, just meeting you 30 minutes ago, I sensed that you're going to rock at this, right? Social skills are clearly off the charts. You're very comfortable dealing with people and, obviously getting a great degree, getting a great start. But, if you're young, you can look at an old person like me, or you can look at a young person like Ellie and say, this is the model, right? This is that combination of smarts and people skills. That's what's going to get you to the highest levels.
Right. And it's that Michigan State degree, right, Paul?
That's it.
Well, thank you so much. I've had a great time. Do you have any final parting words or words of advice for, our listeners?
It's probably a rehash, but I would say it's about, this is a profession. It's just so hard for you young folks to know, you have to make a decision when you're 19 or 20, what is my career going to be? I would just say that this is a little bit unlike finance, right? This is financial planning. This is about putting people's lives in your hands and helping guide them to the things that they want to do. So don't look at it and say, oh, I'm great with numbers, maybe financial planning. I would look at this and say, for people who care deeply about others, where that's natural, that's not something you hope to achieve, that's not something you want to get to someday. I care deeply about others, I want to help, and I love business, or I love numbers, all that together, then jump into this profession. It's a wonderful profession. You can make a great living, you can help others every day, you go home feeling great about what you did. You can look yourself in the mirror. It's awesome, but make sure you love helping other people, because that's ultimately what this business is all about.
Yeah. And it's almost, if you want to be successful and really have that feel good job, you got to be in it for the right reasons. And like you said, truly wanting to help people.
Yeah. And if you do, this is the greatest. Like I got 3 kids, none of them want to do this. And I, like, every day I'm like, what are you doing? This is the best, like, this is the best job. And they're all good, caring people, and they could all do it, but none of them want to. And I'm like, oh, you're killing me. You're going to work so hard at something else when this is the most wonderful profession on earth. But they'll figure it out, and maybe one of them will migrate here someday, but maybe not, and that's fine. But for those who have a passion, those who have an interest helping others and working with numbers and things like that, this is awesome. This is just great work.
It is. And you hear it again and again. Everyone who's in it absolutely loves it. So yeah. That's not a driving factor. I don't know what is.
Right.
Well, thank you again so much, Paul. We're so appreciative of your words of advice and being on the podcast today. I really enjoyed it.
Me too. Thanks for having me, Ellie. If there's anything I can do for you or your listeners anytime, you let me know.
Thank you so much. Bye, Paul.
Take care.
If you like what you just heard, please like, comment, and share. This is Lance Mullen, producer of the MSU-WMA podcast. MSU-WMA, or Michigan State University Wealth Management Association, is a student organization part of the Eli Broad College of Business, located in East Lansing, Michigan. Our mission is to inspire and educate the next generation of financial planners. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed, please check out our channel on all platforms such as Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and check out our social media at MSUWMA and msuwma.com.